I notoriously film more videos than I have time to edit. I've been busy with modifying the truck and actually getting it out and putting it to use. But I did promise a review, and sorry it took me so long. I filmed this almost a year ago, right before I took the truck in for construction of the Bowen Customs bed.
Hey guys, Tyler with Independence Overland. I wanted to review the Kuat rack. If you're looking at buying one of these, go check out my first video before you watch this one. I do have mostly good things to say about it, and I just want to get out of the way that they did send me this for free. So I didn't really have an agreement with Kuat. I told them it was only going to be on for so long. They were cool enough to help me out because I really wanted to use this truck to create content while it's in its stock form. Because the reason I'm taking this off is this truck is about to have some big changes to it. And one of those changes is an Alu-Cab canopy camper. And that has been my end goal with this truck. It's a new truck. People want to see this thing in action. And I couldn't put the Alu-Cab on it right away for various reasons. The ultimate goal is to turn this into a mini camper, an off-road camper. So that's what is going to be happening. So right now I'm taking this thing off. I had my trip to Arkansas, a trip through Utah, a couple different trips in Colorado. I'm super grateful to Kuat for sending me this thing because it really was nice to be able to get out and use the truck in the form, and it also gives me insight to some of my viewers, because I know a lot of people do run an open rack system and I'd never done it before. So having an open rack like this is going to help me in the future review various products because now I have experience of running an open rack. So I can recommend certain things, and if I had an open bed, I would do this or that and that sort of a thing. It was awesome to use the truck in this form anyway because it is a sleek looking truck. It's a beautiful looking truck. I'm very happy with this thing so far. So overall, I just wanted to use the rack for a while. Kuat, again, was cool enough to send this thing out. In my opinion, it's one of the better looking racks. I touched on that in the original video. So honestly, I really don't have many bad things to say about this rack in general. There's a few issues I had with it, but that wasn't because of the rack itself. That was because of me and being stubborn. And like I said, I needed to get this thing out and use it because I was in a situation where I was one of the few who had a trail hunter at the time, and I wanted to capitalize on that for the YouTube space. And so I just wanted to get it out. And one of the things I did is I sacrificed my roof rack. So we'll get more into that, but that's the Toyota roof rack. Kuat actually just launched their own roof rack system that has LED lighting built into it as an option. It's pretty cool looking. And if you were to buy this system, I'd recommend buying that system so you can bypass what I just did. So one of the things I used with this rack is I put cheap MaxTrax mounts just off of Amazon. They were like 30 bucks or something like that. I just needed a way to mount these things for the season. And because I don't have a winch, I did feel it was necessary to have MaxTrax. So as far as using the MaxTrax on this side, I did find it valuable to be able to block this section off because I'm an overly paranoid person and I have a lot of nice stuff. So I wanted a way where I could block off this side of the truck. I could throw some padlocks on those little latches and everything would be secure. And it worked out great. So one thing on these side panels is on this side, I do have the smaller panels, and these worked extremely well, especially with the MaxTrax. So what I did over here is I mounted the mounting company base plates, as you can kind of see in this, and I did more on those in other videos, but those cases were pretty heavy. I used some pretty big Zargus cases on the side here, and I did put a fair bit of weight. I didn't overload them necessarily, but they did have a lot of weight, and I did notice a lot of rattling. Part of the reason that those things were making so much noise is because this whole panel can flex quite a bit. So I don't see that as a bad thing. That's just a part of working with aluminum, which is good that it's aluminum because it's lightweight. So you have 6 mounting bolts for this Molle panel on this side, so you're gonna have some more flex to it in these areas where it doesn't have bolts. So if you're planning on doing some big cases on the side of yours or any kind of a case on the side of yours that isn't long, and they're just shorter ones, I think you're better off buying more of these small panels and mounting them to those. And it's gonna probably be more expensive. I don't remember the pricing off the top of my head, but these small panels, because they have 4 mounting points each, you're gonna get less of that vibration. So it's gonna be a little bit stronger. In between the bolts on the big side here, you have more room for flex. So what I would do is I would have 1 small panel, 1 small panel, 1 small panel, and 1 small panel. And that way you can really divide that stuff up. So it's not really a con, it's just something that I didn't look at correctly when I first installed these. So if I were to do this permanently on a long-term basis, that's what I'd be doing. I would still have the larger side, I think, because it is handy. Like if you're gonna put some quick fists on there and put some recovery gear on there or something like that, I think it would work great. Another thing to consider with this particular rack is that you can convert this now to an entire enclosed rack system or a bed cover system, which I think is super cool. So it's almost like having like a Jeep for your rack setup. You can pull the panels off, pull the roof off if you wanted to run the open bed situation. And I think it's pretty smart because now if you have one of these and you decided, you know what, I don't want to deal with the dust, like kind of what I was running into, then you could fully enclose it. Okay, so another thing with this rack, to anybody who might be buying this on a 4th gen Tacoma, I have the Toyota front roof rack, which I do not plan on keeping prolong. But the roof rack that I wanted to get instead, I wanted to sell this Toyota rack while it was brand new because I could have got more money for it. But the rack from Sherpa that I want is not available yet, or was not available yet. So what I ended up having to do is just using the Toyota one, which I actually didn't even end up using. But anyway, I put the 10 on here and I saw that it was very, very close. And I had the Alu cab. The Alu cab doesn't actually have a front mounting point. It only mounts on these two back rails the same way as the FJ. So while the Alu cab doesn't mount on the front of the truck, it still needs some clearance. And I knew that it was going to mess up my roof rack. But again, I just needed to get this truck out on the trails because you know, I can make money on YouTube off of it and stuff. I see this thing as more of a tool than something I'm like attached to. I'm more attached to the FJ, honestly, than this truck. This truck I view more so as a tool. So what happened is the flex on trails and stuff ended up chewing up the part of the roof rack where one side was touching. So I just want to put it out there that if you have one of these 4th gen Tacomas and you're running this rack and you have the Toyota roof rack, just because you see it in my videos does not mean that that's a good idea. It did destroy my roof rack. When I first got this truck, there really weren't that many parts available for it, and the roof racks are still catching up and stuff like that. There's more options now, but it's one of those deals where I was like, okay, well, the truck's got a roof rack, so I just need to run it, and I ended up not even using the roof rack hardly at all, but I thought I was gonna end up needing it. So another point I should make on this thing is mine did come with this, this rear Molle panel, and I do think that this is worth the money. This gives this thing more structure. And as I covered in the other video, it comes as part of this roof extension kit. It basically gives it more rigidity over here. So I actually had my spare tire anchored on the factory attachment points in the bed. I didn't want to attach it to this just because this is aluminum and I didn't want to ratchet my tire to the aluminum part of this bed. It just didn't seem like a good idea. But what's nice about these is even when I did have my tire here, I put my Ignic propane canister over here and I was able to use these to strap it in place to where it wouldn't move. So on this side, I was doing the same thing. I just pulled all my straps and stuff out of here earlier, but I had different attachments with like roller cams and stuff to where I had ways to strap things up against the back here. There were just like little loose items that I wasn't using that much and I could kind of get them out of the way. So if you're buying this kit with the risers, then it's gonna come with this. You can buy the riser separately, but I really don't think that that's as good of a deal because it's not much more and you're getting this whole kit and this is very useful. So I kind of think that that's the way to go if you're gonna do that. I don't wanna sound like a salesman for Kuat. I'm sorry if I do come off that way, but I just do think that this panel right here is a very useful piece of the kit. So more things that I like about it. The way this thing attaches to the bed rails is super simple. The first time I had to set it up, it took a little bit of, you gotta kind of leave everything loose and line it up. But now that it's on here, I just gotta release this big Allen over here, all 4 of them, and this whole thing will just lift off the back of the truck. And if you're a person that needs your full truck access on a regular basis, it's very easy to do that. I mean, it is seriously gonna take me like maybe 5 minutes to pull this whole thing off. I've got access to a forklift, but it's really not that heavy. In my installation video, I just picked this thing up and moved it, which I do have more stuff on it now, so maybe it'll be a little heavier, but you know, I don't think it'll be too much worse. If I were keeping this prolong, I would have taken more advantage of all the T-slot that's all over this thing because it is everywhere, here, 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 there, and under the rails and stuff. And like I was carrying my little Tenkara fly rod, I would even be having a place with like some quick fist to put that and stuff to where everything is up out of the way. I was really living out of Pelican cases and stuff when I was using this in my Zargus cases. And the reason for that is I just didn't want to invest in more of the system when I knew that I was going to be doing the camper so soon. So I was trying to do this in a way where I felt most people are going to camp in that way. Most people are using a bed rack like this. I see it all the time. And then those same people will have all sorts of cases and stuff. So I was trying to do that just so I could relate to the audience, you guys. And I really wanted to have like a better understanding of that, things that I liked about it, things I didn't like about it. One of the big things I would be doing with this if I were keeping it is I would be enclosing it. I would definitely be getting those panels because the dust thing is just out of control. The silty sand in the white rim trail that we did, it was just everywhere. I mean, even in Colorado, the stuff was everywhere. Everything you touch, your hands are just dirty. The thing with having the dust everywhere, that drives me crazy, and I get shit on my videos because I wear gloves when I air up and air down even, because I don't want to get stuff all over my hands so I have to wash my hands so much. Because here in Colorado, the air is so dry that if you're washing your hands a bunch, your hands will just start, mine at least, start cracking and bleeding. And so with an open bed, that's one of the things that I realized right away. And this goes with any of these bed rack systems. Now that I've ran it, I had to wash my hands so many times, and it was exactly what I hate about that. So I think if I were keeping this, I would definitely be getting those panels on this thing. So that's just my opinion on it. I don't know if you can still use some of these Molle panels. I think you might have to mount some of this to the outside of those doors, but that wouldn't be too hard to do. And then they do have struts on them, so you can modify them. I did get a look at those pretty close up at the Overland Expo, and they're just as modifiable as anything else. And the one thing that I think I was the most disappointed in, and this is such a minor thing that you do not have to buy, is the antenna mount. This is fine for CB. For GMRS and ham radio users, this mount does not work the best. This isn't the greatest spot to put an antenna anyway. I'm aware of that, but it's good enough for being on the trail. I rarely need that extra range. So I did want to utilize this antenna spot because I didn't want to modify anything else. This truck's going to change so much soon that I will worry about those kinds of things when it's in its final stages. But for now, I just wanted a place to where I could use my communications devices, and this mount right here is not the greatest. If you had a CB, this is fine, but I think most of us these days are not using that. So for Kuat, if you're watching this, just make this slightly more round if you could. That way it can work with an antenna mount like this, like an NMO antenna mount, to where that whole thing can seal like it's supposed to up against the surface. And then you won't pinch an O-ring like I did here. I mean, again, it's just an O-ring, but that is a very common antenna mount. And if they're gonna sell one, then I feel like that it should be like a more round one for more modern uses, because most of us are switching over to these other radios and leaving CBs in the dust. I know this is a short video, but I just want to do it because I had already said I would do this, and I didn't want to not follow up on that. But I really don't have that many bad things to say about it. Again, I don't owe these guys anything at this point, and I do have affiliate links, but I can get affiliate links to any bed rack company. The thing with this rack, and I think a lot of people agree with me, and I mentioned this in the first video, is that it follows the line of the new Tacoma so well, especially on something like the Trail Hunter. The fenders back here match perfectly with the way that this is designed. And they didn't do that intentionally because these racks were out before the Trail Hunter came out, but it just so happens that, in my opinion, this is the best looking rack for these new trucks. Some of the little features that they have with this thing, like this handle right here, is just, it's just small things that I think are nice. This is my first bed rack I've ever used, and I'm very impressed with it. I know some other guys that have various bed racks that I got to check out this summer whenever I was camping with them. I see all this stuff at the expos. I personally think that this is one of the better looking racks, better put together racks. I think that this is a more of a sleek design. Obviously on the outside, it looks like it could be something sold from the factory. It looks good with the Toyota factory roof rack, even though I don't recommend that combination, but it just has a very factory look to it. It's more professionally designed. And I think that there's been a lot more engineering behind this one than some of the other options that I've seen. So really my only real complaints are about that antenna mount. Again, the whole roof rack situation, that's my fault. I knew that was gonna happen, but I just wanna give a warning to you about it. And the other thing is, if you were gonna mount something like this, I guess if it's one long case, you'll be fine, because then the rigidness of this will be divided. But if you have two small cases, it's just gonna be able to vibrate a little bit more. The nature of having aluminum cases on the side of a truck, they're gonna rattle a little bit anyway. But I think I could have neutralized some of that had I mounted this just a little bit different using the smaller plates on the other side. So that's just advice for anybody who's gonna do something like this. Anyway, all in all, as you can see, this is just a cool looking rack system. These are the mounting company mounts that I had on here. So something I need to touch on before we go is Kuat actually gave me a bike mounting system for this as well. And it mounts right here or either side, and then you can put a bike on the side. And I have that, and honestly, I haven't even opened it yet because I don't have a bike. I almost got it out to modify it to use it for like a scooter for when I was going to some of these expos, because it would have just been kind of cool to have a big off-road scooter on the side of it, or at least I think that'd be cool. A lot of people probably think that's dorky as hell, but I was going to do that, and it's a cool option to have. I know I didn't really have that many cons to talk about, but honestly, it's a solid built system. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. You have mounting points everywhere. I have very few bad things to say about this, but I know some of you out there that are just interested in it, you might want to see a little bit more out of it. You can see this in action on some of my adventure travel stuff that has already come out, as well as what's going to be coming out. So anyway, guys, that's what I have to say about the Kuat system. I really do like this thing. There was no real obligation to even do a review on this in the first place, but I do want to say that Kuat, thank you so much. I really did enjoy using this. It's been awesome getting to know how a lot of my subscribers are using their vehicle, and this thing's going to get pretty crazy here soon. That's the only reason I'm taking this off. But anyway, that's what I have to say about the Kuat rack system. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.
As always, thank you so much for watching, and click one of the videos in the corner to check out more of our adventure, off-road, and overland related content.